So, GM Dickery. I was thinking about doing this for a while, and then, I've been getting back into role-playing. Well, I have two stories I want to tell. One is of my own GM Dickery. And the other is my first time getting back into role-playing after a gap. When I was first introduced to role-playing, I was only 6 years old. So, no one wanted to run the game, everyone wanted to play. So, no one actually wanted to play, they just wanted character creation for some fucking reason. So, we get the games together and then they would break apart. We'd get the games together, then they'd break apart. We'd get the games together! And then they'd break apart. So, we're living near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. My mom used to throw all these little kind of crazy wild parties, and then we would let the guys come over, and I found out that a few of them role-played, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I used to like to role-play, and we would talk about it, and finally we moved away from there, and we moved to San Antonio, Texas, where I'm kind of living now. Well, I'm living outside San Antonio, but side story. So the conversation goes, you know what, I feel like running a game. And I'm like, oh, I get to play. I get to play in a game. And I'm like, that is going to be fun. So he Dragon Brat used to run a sample story first. And I was getting into it. I'm like, I used words that were thematically correct. And it always began out the same way for him. And this is how he picked out who he was essentially going to make his bitch throughout the entire game. Well, I said I mount my dragon. Because that's the way he began out. You fly an ice dragon, they drop you off, and you need to kill some trolls in some caves. Well, I said I mount it. He says, well, it turns around and eats you alive. Huh? Like, I get it now. And they had to explain it to me because, I was like 12 or 10 or something like that. I don't know. What age are you normally when you're about 6th, 7th grade? Maybe 12-ish? So, the little campaign goes on, and he puts us into this impossible situation. There's no way to escape. You're going to die. So my character, finally accepting that, defeat is inevitable, because you're tied up, you have to roll a natural 20 to break the fucking ropes, you can't do shit. So, this is what happens. After I finally succumbed to the darkness of death and the realization that I was dying, he's like, okay, well, you're my pokey bitch. I'm like, why? He's like, alright, now we're going to make real characters. So I make the character. And the character is an half-elven ranger or an elven ranger, some shit like that. That's not the important part of the story. His beauty was... So, some Dickery things happened early on in that game. I was moving stealthily through the forest, and I used the word try to move stealthily, and he's like, roll for it. I'm like, okay, whatever, and then I failed it. Whoop-de-doo. Yay, this is fun. and as an adult, I draw a laugh from it, but back then I'm like, you're just being an ass right now. You get what I'm going for. Because there's none of this, you just randomly show up into a tavern all at the same time. Trying to get everyone together organically is a bitch. So, we're getting everyone together, we finally get together into this small town, and immediately it's besieged by a vampire. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big... I used to really enjoy D&D, but I never got to play a game. And because I always would start a game, everyone meets up, and then the kid down the hall doesn't want to play anymore, or the kid who lives in the apartment complex across the way doesn't want to play anymore, you would end up at this point where you get 2 games in, and all of a sudden no one wants to play. So this game comes along, and I'm super excited for it. Well, we do all of our research. The vampire says, I'm going to return in 1 month, and on that 1 month time, either you will work for me or I shall force you to work for me. I forget the exact phrasing. I'm 34 now. We're talking at least 2 decades ago. So, we do our research. We find out that there's a whole bunch of conflicting myths on what does and doesn't work, but the one thing that does work is a stake through the heart. Alright, we can agree on that. You don't necessarily have to bind him in silver and drag him into the sun. You don't necessarily have to quarter him and bury his body parts in different parts of the globe. You just have to stake him. A stake is going to immobilize him. So that was the plan. We had a paladin, we had a cleric, and we had myself, and I think my little brother was just playing a fighter. He was playing it simple. Vampire returns, walks into the tavern, and this is where we actually had our planning done. And I was standing on the stage because this bar happened to have a little stage for performing minstrels, or whatever you want to, performing travelers, bards, whatever. And the cleric had cast Unseen to Undead, or Invisible to Undead, whatever the spell was actually called at the time, I don't remember. So, natural 20 on the roll. 20. Dragonbrat's face just goes... because he was expecting a huge challenge. Now, before I got my shot off, because I was the lowest on the initiative, he convinced one of the, I think it was the paladin or the cleric, or maybe it was the fighter, I don't remember, he used Charmed on them. So, the charm goes off, and now 2 of the player characters are fighting each other, and the vampire and his hellhound are just sitting there laughing. So I roll my natural 20. Dragonbrat goes... and all of a sudden, the hellhound attacks me, because I'm the biggest threat all the way across the tavern. Not the fighter, not the paladin, the ranger. The ranger is the threat. Yeah, about that. So the game continues on, and I get scarred and jacked up, so now I look horrible. So he either has to show the world his face, which is scarred and jacked up, or he covers it up with the mask, or a hood, or going the full-on darkened asshole in the corner who thinks he's being cooler than he really is. So, he was so pissed at us that he TPK'd us intentionally. And we're not talking one of these things where... because they didn't have challenge levels back then. At least not that I'm aware of. So, you know, it was stupid because all of a sudden you have... I think the first wave was a wave of kobolds or half-goblins that attacked us, and we barely escaped through on that. We didn't fully get recovered, and all of a sudden we get attacked by... I forget what they're called. They're like panthers with these long whiskers, and at the time you had to roll on a d6, and you had a 1 in 3 chance of actually hitting the right one, because apparently it made shadow clones. So this wasn't a case of someone wanting to kill a party that, you know, majorly fucked up and did something wrong. We did everything right. And he was sad that his campaign was destroyed because of a lucky roll. Now, that's someone else being a dick. And now it's my turn to be a dick. Now, I obtained that I was completely fucking neutral on this one. Because here's the thing. Everyone, at some point, will roll for traps. They will roll for poison, they will have to make will saves, fortitude saves, shit like that. Well, the story is you had a pack of were-snakes, and this is in the World of Darkness because I stopped playing AD&D after that game because it was so fucking... that bothered me. It kind of wrought me really bad. So it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years later, I want to say 4 or 5 years later, that I started role-playing again and like properly role-playing. And I get into this game and so forth and so on. And from Vampire, I learned about Werewolf, Mage. I didn't know about Demon the Fallen back then, or Mummy the Resurrection, or even Wraith the Oblivion, but I knew of the basic series of games. So, the Naga book, the Were-Snake book, is kind of interesting because the Naga act as the assassins and the judges for all were creatures. And this is more than just the werewolf's ideology. The ideology of the werewolf saying, well, you, werewolf B, howls at Moon, broke the litany, we're going to kill you. They will decide whether or not you are being a proper werewolf and kill you. Are you being a proper were-snake? Are you being a proper were-spider or were-coyote or what have you? So, because I'd never played in the game, I had a GM PC, or ST PC, whatever. But I made him completely reliant on his pack. That way, even though I knew the story that I was going to run with, I couldn't, like, have a heavy influence in it. So, I normally like to use a GM screen. And it's partially because at least the White Wolf ones have all the nice little basic rolls on it. What does this type of weapon do? What does that type of weapon do? So forth and so on. So the were-snakes, we had a couple of really funny games. The first game, they were breaking into a nightclub where a werewolf had broken the litany and got caught on tape. And they send the snake-born... me, he's snake-born, into the security room to dispose of the evidence with like an intelligence of 1. No computers. No technology. So he breaks all the monitors. The other character, who was also snake-born, who accompanied him, did the same thing because they did not know better. I think it's funny, and it was something that was going to come back and bite him in the ass later. Never send a snake-born to take care of something technological. So, the story keeps going on. And what happens is I run 3 different universes. And the core set of NPC changes in the different universes. I do have a favorite NPC. That is my biggest weakness as a storyteller. And Rune is my favorite NPC because he was a character I created in an Elder game. And I made the mistake of making him how I envisioned myself, because I was 16 or 17 at the time that I made him, how I wanted to be when I was 25. Cool, confident, powerful, muscular, tall, tan, and fucking ready to go. Not fucking around type of guy, and he will whoop your ass. But here's the problem. I put too much of myself in him. And as a gamer, I tend to do that a lot, and definitely as a player when I game. All my characters, I inadvertently try to excise my demons. All of them, all at once. Let's excise all of my demons. I'm worried about being abandoned by everyone I know. I'm gonna make street rats. So in this game, And in my universes altogether, Ruin is one of those characters where the biggest catch is that depending on which universe you're in, will depend on how he behaves. And in Universe A, he is straight off my character sheet that I still have. He is Humanity 8. Permanent injury, unable to sire. Strength, stamina, and dexterity are all at 7. He has 7 in fucking Protean. 5 in Potence. He is a combat monster. But he has gotten to the point where... Sorry, my dogs are fighting. Where, he will not fight unless he's provoked. And you have to threaten his life. Like, maybe if you're a werewolf and you, out of the blue, attack him for no damn reason. Well, he is a vampire, but, you know, whatever. So, like, Universe B, he's a dick. He's kind of one of those borderline dicks who... He's kind of just living for himself. He's not necessarily a monster, but... He's a vampire. He's doing what he's got to do. And in Universe 3, and I roll a die every time I start this game. 1 through 2 is Universe 3. 9 and 10 are Universe A. And Universe B is everything in between. Now in Universe 3, he has an effective humanity of 4. Now in game turns, that means he is inhuman. Or at least on his way to be inhuman. All 3 universes, he has this bar that he owns called the Mystic Bar. And for gameplay purposes in Universe 1 and 2, it's a complete neutral ground. In 3, he is the fucking man. If you come into his bar, he knows about it. He has wards and all the lovely kit and caboodle on his bar. And literally walking in through the door, the first door locks, and then the second door opens up. And it goes both ways. So the 2 doors are never opened together. And of course he has colleagues to just dominate any of the fire marshals that come through. Because that is totally not legal. So, the game is, and this is where we pick up after the first mission to, you know, kind of fill out the game, is they sent a pack of the snakes, and I don't remember if they're even called packs, but they sent a group of the snakes to investigate the Mystic Bar because shit be going down there. Their fangs, in full Krynos, which is the half-snake war form, is sent back to a secret location that he should not know about. The last place they had reported in that said that they were going to investigate was the Mystic Bar. And I know I gave a lot of lead up to this point. So they go in. Bouncer sees them coming up to the bar, beginning to get in line. And he's like, no. You 3, come on. Or you 4, sorry. You 4, come on. And waves them right into the club. They get in, club's bumping. You know, it's like a club, like a bar club. And immediately, they're shown to a table. Immediately afterwards, a waitress comes up and says, "Hey, what do you want? Everything's on the house tonight." And they order drinks. And my character's like, "Well, I just want water." And they're like, "Come on, enjoy yourself. You don't have to just drink water. Have a beer or something." I'm like, no. We're here for a reason, and we should stick to that reason. No. We're going to have a good time. So the drinks come. Now, they actually did a roll for this. And I didn't even initiate it. Sorry about that. I'm not even going to cut this shit out, by the way. So, they initiate the roll for checking for poison. Because they know what's going on here. Someone had sent their fellow's fangs back from their Krynos form. Something was up. So they check for poisons, and all of them fail. My character was the only one, and it was a 1. And he's like, I don't think we should drink this. It smells funny. They're like, no, we're good, man, we're good. And they start chugging their drinks. So, because of the way that the poison was set up, they had to roll on their gnosis. Spiritual energy, for anyone wondering. And they roll for their gnosis. And their gnosis, all but one, succeed. So they're like, yeah, so we don't have to really worry about someone getting poisoned. However, someone got poisoned. And this is where apparently I become the dick. So the catch is this. The poison is not just like your standard MD80 or whatever it's called. Not the date rape, not Rohypnol. They call it Molly. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So heightened sexual prowess. I want to fuck everything that moves and everything that doesn't move. So essentially the character becomes tainted. Now this is apparently where I'm a dick. Because everything leading up to this point is standard Dungeons and Dragons fare. And this is apparently where I go too far. Because I drug the player characters. The same way as if a poison dart shot out from a hidden trap in a wall. Oh my, I'm using modern drugs instead of just kill ya poison. Ooh. Now, the reason I share this story, and the reason I say it's GM Dickery, is because I shared this on, and this, back when RPG.net was, like, years and years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, I shared this story on a thread, and I asked them, hey, was I being a dick here? And they're like, yes, you were. You never poison your party. I'm like, but isn't it the same as the situation where you check for a trap and you fail and you still open the trap and you get poisoned? No, because that's a poison in a dungeoneering adventure. Really? So I just wanted to share this story. No. I wanted to share the story because I thought it was cute and it's amazing. I'm one of those storytellers, by the way, where I do have a few tics. My tic is stupidity. Not like we failed a roll and we did something stupid because of it. That I'm willing to work with. I'm talking... No! I'm talking... You're following a person into an elevator. In the middle of the night, into a building he had to open himself, you're following him into an elevator. By yourself. And it's only him and you. And you decide... And you decide not to just sneak by him, but to stand in the middle of the elevator. This is the type of shit I find stupid. So I'll punish it. I'll punish it bad. Real bad. I want to make a werewolf gunslinger. No. It doesn't really work that way. Your peacemaker may change shape with you in size, but in reality that it doesn't do any extra damage. If we're following the laws of logic, yes, but not really. Not with the shit you fight. It doesn't do extra damage because it's still just a handgun. Just because it's a cannon now doesn't change it. Well, if you imagine it, it's gone from a 50 cal to a howitzer, a mobile howitzer. So why isn't it doing more damage? Because your bullets don't change size. It is only the gun that changes size. You don't have bullets for this thing. It is a big club. So, I punish stupidity, and I'm a dick GM because of that, and I'll admit it. I will literally... I don't set my players up to fail when I run a game, Because thankfully I'm in 2 games right now and I don't have to run one. So when I set up a game, I don't set them up to fail. I want them to succeed. I want them to finish as many storylines as possible, but you know, that's probably not going to happen. Time's always ticking, as I've heard other GMs say, but that's just the way it is. So, if you like this video, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not going through that rigmarole. Have a good night, good day. May the loot tables be in your favor, which is some shit I used to stay on Twitter when I was still using it. And have a good night.